Good morning to you. My name is Bruno Temuhere Edgard, and you are watching Issues at Hand on Church of Uganda Family TV. Now, Issues at Hand is proudly brought to you by Protea Hotel Entebbe. The weekend is here, and it's important that you utilize the amenities that are on show when it comes to this wonderful hotel. We have a spa. We have a swimming pool, we have a gym, we have wonderful hotel rooms, we have wonderful conference rooms and conference halls, so you can partake of all these amenities. We have a luscious, very wonderful site that is next to the lake, and you can use that place to meditate or to just spend time with your family. And talking about spending time with family, it's time for family when it comes to us as parents and time spent with our children. Why? Because our children are set to get their holidays from the first term, and so the first term is coming to a conclusion next, according to the Ministry of Education calendar. Next week, the 5th of May, which will be a Friday, will be holiday time, and this holiday time will stretch up to the 29th of May. So the question we're asking ourselves is, what should we do as parents? What can we do to engage our children? What can we do to protect our children? And what can we do to ensure that this holiday season for our children is profitable for our children, but also for our relationships as parents, as children, and as family members? Because this is family, and that's what we are all about here on Church of Uganda Family TV. Now, with me to discuss this issue and to give us an insight into how to ensure we have a profitable holiday is Afande Lule Patrick, who is a Regional Community Liaison Officer from KMP South. Welcome to Issues at Hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruno. As you have mentioned, I'm Assistant Superintendent of Police, Lule Patrick. I'm happy to be hosted today.
Indeed, and of course, we are praying for everyone who is under the jurisdiction of KMP South, and I'm sure the families out there are watching to hear what we have to discuss today. Now, the holiday season is here, and something that we do not pay attention to, but that is very important, is something that experts term as behavioral change. That when children are in schools, they behave differently when they're in school and when they are at home with their parents. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, okay, is this an advantage or a disadvantage? And how do we manage this terrain of behavioral change if we want our children to have a profitable holiday this season?
Thank you, Bruno. Exactly as you have mentioned, that when children tend to leave school, they tend also to change their behavior. You will realize that when they are still at school, they have a program which they follow. For example, a kid is supposed to wake up maybe by 6. They go and bathe. After bathing, they go for breakfast. After breakfast, maybe they go for morning classes. They have a program. But when they tend to come back to home, now this program has to change. So now that is the role of the parents to take over. Because again, at home, you may not dare give them a specific program the way it is at school. Because at school, the mind is now set. And they also have a tendency of assisting them, like they ring bells, that by 6 you ring a bell, the student or the kid wakes up, then for breakfast you ring a bell, the student knows that now it's time for breakfast. But when you're at home, you're not going to do all of those. So what does that mean? That means that when a student goes from school to home, there is a tendency of change of behavior automatically. Because you realize that at home, he will not be waking up as early as he has been waking up. But now it's your task as a parent to know if the kid is at home, is he going to sleep the whole day? He may be used to waking up by 6. So you have to know, if he wakes up by 6, what is he going to do? Is he going to watch TV? If he's going to watch TV, which kind of TV? So that's where we have to come in as parents. Because you realize that in most homes or parents, when most of these students have just returned home, as I've told you, they are now used to that program of waking up early. So he will leave the kid to wake up early, the kid goes on, he switches on a TV, he watches his or her own programs without the parent mattering, because he may even be also still sleeping. So you just leave the kid to be free to watch anything, and in the process they may watch some other programs really that are not good for these kids. So what are we telling the parents at home? In most cases, you will realize that we have left our responsibilities as parents to the school administration or to the school management. In that when these kids return at home, at times we even see them as if it's a burden. You find the parent even crying, you see now I'm burdened, the kids are at home. You ask, well, how? These are your kids. You should not be crying out to the public that the kids are at home. Just know, what am I supposed to do when the kid gets back home? And now
Actually, that's true, because yesterday in one of the newspapers there was a story about how the Ministry of Education has given a directive to schools not to have term X, not to have teaching or lessons during the holidays, because it's important for children to rest. But something that they have come out to say is that parents should be the ones to report, because they can't follow all the schools. So if you are a parent and you find out that the school where you're taking your child is having this term X, you should report. But one of the parents came out to say that it's difficult for parents to report, because many of them don't want their children at home. When they say there are extra lessons during the holidays, they'll say, thank you so much, let's give you our children. And it's because of that point you just mentioned.
Yeah, that is very true. Actually, the way you have said it is exactly it's supposed to be, because we have always been arresting most of these schools that go into those extra terms. But you will find the parents are comfortable and they will tell you, you see, for us we want the kids to be studying in holidays. During holidays they will get issues. Now you ask yourself, what kind of issues? A holiday is a holiday and it must be respected. A kid must go home and interact with the parents and also with the local community. So that's what I was trying to bring up, that you as a parent plan early, so that you are not surprised that the kid is back home, you don't know what you are going to do, so you leave the kid now to start loitering. Plan early and be tasking these kids. Advise them that, well, okay, if you are waking up by 6, please, first after you have finished the brushing and bathing, you try to do some small housework. You help the helper. You know you have maids and what, but you also task the kid. You help the helper. At least you do some dishwashing, small task. Don't task them again. Don't tell the kid to wash your vehicle. Those are hard labor. That is again not acceptable. You say they said we should do task our kids to do work. Then you tell the kid you wash that truck because you are supposed to be doing something. No, you task them. There are small tasks. You say after this, then you prepare. You can also prepare. Tell them you prepare your own breakfast. You fry an egg. You prepare your. Don't wait for the maid. Not that everything they are supposed to do it for the kid. So in this way, when you task the kid, you will be building his mental health and building him mentally, so that he will know and change that when I'm at school, this is what I'm supposed to do. When I'm at home, this is what I'm supposed to do. Because as I earlier told you, that at school you will find they will prepare for them breakfast. You find they do most of the tasks for them. So when he comes at home, he must realize a change, and the change must be positive. Again, not a negative change. Some of these students, when actually you also realize that some of these students also don't want even to come back at home, because when they are at home, they are brutalized. You find that parents are harassing the kids. You are shouting at them, and when they are at school, they are handled professionally. You know, at school there is a tendency that they are handled professionally, and these are professionals. They are taught how to handle these kids. But you will find that there is a home, and a kid has returned. The way is being handled, he will believe that he rather stays at school than coming back at home. That's why we always have cases of disappearance. And you wonder, a kid has just returned home, then he's disappearing. He has not managed to disappear while he's at school. How comes he disappears from home? So all this is it comes back to the parents, that we have a tendency that we put in more time into other issues, thinking, because whatever you do actually as a parent, at the background you have a thinking that I'm working for my children. But now, if you have not again managed these children at an earlier age, at an earlier time, you realize that at the end of it all, you are working for nothing. That's why you find many people who have been successful, again they are behind, they are crying. So, the kids, what I'm going through, I can tell you, I know you hear stories. The person will tell you he has everything, but you tell you with the kids, I don't know what I'm going through. Because he didn't give in time. He gave in a lot of time to make money. He didn't give in time to the upbringing of these children.
And then money can even be squandered by the children.
Of course, that is what they always do. And at the end of the day, this money, actually the money you think you are even working more, is even giving these kids of yours more problems. You have always seen on social media some of these kids, a kid of S1, S2 is going into a bar with $1 million, 5 million, and is spending as if more than even a manager of a bank. But this is a child, a school-going child, because he is exposed to this money where you think, I'm working for the kid, but again you are just spoiling the kid. So what are we trying to say? That when these kids come back to school, first be focused. Talk to them. Find out how they have been faring, how they've been going with their studies. Establish where there are issues. Again, don't go into this further probing. There are some parents who will force them. How have you been feeding? How do you feed them? Not telling me. No, just talk to them freely in a free mode. Talk to them. Establish how they have been feeding, how they have been faring academically, what subjects are giving you headache, or ask what could be the problem, or where could be the problem coming from. Is it some of the kids will tell you, but you see, I would be okay, but again we wake up very early. There are some schools the children wake up by 3 to go and study, so they have pumped a lot of things. So after you have established, note down, then get time, talk to either the head teacher or the class teacher, that there are some of these issues. How can they be handled? How can they be rectified? So that is what we expect from a parent. So, but this business of waking up very early, that you are going for work, you just leave the kid to do whatever he wants to do. You leave the kids to the maids, so they are being the knowledge now your kids are having, it's being pumped to them by the maid, which maid actually you don't even know the background, because most of these maids you get them at an advanced age. You don't know the background, so the maid will feed them with the high interests. So at the end of the day, you are going to get a lot of issues. So we request the parents out there that when schools break off, get time and engage your kids. Get time and engage them into the development agendas. There are quite a number of issues where you can engage them. So otherwise you'll get to regret ahead in the future if you don't do that. The other thing I could say also, as we talk, we have been so much into, we are into this thing of homosexuality. So it is key. We should not leave it out. I know many parents are at times scared. They say, now how will I? No, open up to these children, and ask them how are the behaviors towards this. towards homosexuality in the schools. Do you know homosexuality? What is it? If it tells you, how is it? Have you ever heard of it? Could it be there in your school? Ask, because that's how also we can get information what is happening in schools, because you have been hearing a lot is going on in schools behind the curtains, and we cannot all be anywhere to establish. But these kids now, these are our eyes who can really tell us that no, you see, there is so and so, and these kids speak out. They will tell you that you see, when we are at school, so and so behaves like this, so and so behave. Then if you happen to pick out those characters, also pass on this information. Don't again keep it to yourself. Pass this information to the relevant authorities. Tell them, you see, there is this information, but let us verify it. Don't again just rush to social media. There are some parents, when he has received the information, automatically now for him or her, he will rush to social media, he types something, and you see what? My kid has told me this. It just goes viral. First establish, get facts. Get facts in most of these issues. And when you get facts, you will have done a lot of work, both to your children and to the whole country.
Indeed, and something that you mentioned, that is something that has come to the forefront of parenthood in Uganda, which is the term positive parenthood, which Her Excellency, the First Lady of Uganda, also spoke about. That's Janet Museveni, speaking about how we must be intentional about the welfare of our children. That's spending time with our children, like you've said, having those conversations with our children, open conversations, asking them how has it been at school, how are you faring, do you know about these issues like bullying, homosexuality and whatnot. And this will help us prepare a way for their holiday seasons. I like what you've mentioned in terms of ensuring we have a checklist of what they're going to do during the holidays, what time they're waking up, what they're going to do when they wake up, participating in the running of the home as well, and ensuring that they are not wayward, which is a very good piece of advice from me, Afande, because many of us, when we're on holidays, and I know there are many children we find in the community during holidays who just wake up to play, eat, sleep, play, eat, sleep, and the parents are fine with that. But the question you have to ask themselves is, how are we transitioning our children from the routine they were in school and to the routine they are in now when it comes to their livelihoods, especially when it comes to ensuring that they are learning something during the holiday season, that they are being imbued with wisdom and knowledge, and that they are growing, so that when they go to school they can be well knowledged even more and prosper even more. That's very important. So practice positive parenthood today in terms of ensuring that behavioral change is not disadvantage but an advantage when it comes to our children. Now, when it comes to issues at hand, the conversation continues. We're going to be joined by another guest who is also going to add to this discussion on ensuring that we get the best out of the holiday season this first term holiday. So don't go anywhere. If you've not yet received a circular from the school, holidays are coming our way, and next week on the 5th of May, which is Friday, then we have to ensure we get our children out of school, those who are in boarding, and turn them home, and they're going to be home up to the 29th of May. So it's important that we prepare ourselves, like Afande said before the break, we prepare and know what our children are going to do during this holiday season. Now, joining the panel discussion here is Senior Superintendent of Police Muhwezi Donald, who is from Police Quarters Naguru. You are very welcome back to Issues at Hand.
Thank you, the moderator. Thank you, my brother Lule, for stepping in and covering the gap. I was telling our colleagues out there that in forces we don't have vacuum. When there's space, somebody should come in to fill that vacuum. You're spot on. I delayed picking my kids from school and the report cards, so this topic is timely. And as viewers out there, parents, this is the right time to do your role, to do your work as parents. When I came in, I found a an interesting topic, how to safeguard the children ahead of the first term holidays. And I want to start by breaking it into three. One being safety. Safety starts today.
Before we get into safety, Afande, something important that we first need to address, especially when it comes to holidays, is the role of parents. What do you think the role of parents is when it comes to ensuring that children get the best out of the holiday season?
And that's why I said I want to begin with safety, because kids must safely reach home before you take care of them. If you realize there's chaos in the bus park, there's chaos in the taxi park, you can easily lose a kid between school and home. So before you look at how the parent or the father or the mother takes care of the child at home, this child must reach home. You have taxi drivers who are careless, you have kids that will lose their property, you have kids that will delay. People may reach in Jinja or Mbale tomorrow. So this affects how the kid will be at home. So as parents, we must make sure that kids safely reach home today or tomorrow, or depending on the day the school will close. If you're far away from the school and you're unable to pick like I did, you have contacts that you trust. If you have a driver of a taxi or a bus that you call, and this person takes care of the property and the kid until you receive the kid. When it comes to home, the person that is responsible for the well-being, the discipline, the feeding, the survival of this kid is the parent. There is no other person that a kid trusts or loves or understands better than the parent. So as soon as the kids arrive home, training continues. There is that relaxed state of parents and guardians receiving kids, and they close them like we close books when you finish school. Training at home begins as soon as training at school closes. What am I talking about? As long as you want the kid to be relevant in the society in future, you must impart values and discipline as a parent. What you want the kid to be, it should be what you are. How do you talk to your wife as a father? How do you treat your workers at home? How do you treat neighbors? Because this kid is a photocopying machine. What the kid sees is what the kid will do or be in future. So if we had issues, me and my wife, from today we must devise means of handling our issues off these kids. Because what they see will have an impact, and a long-run impact on their future and life. So as parents, we must be examples this period as kids come home.
Now, on the issue of safety, especially when we are talking about returning to home from school, you mentioned there a parent has a vital role there as well. But how far does that role extend, and how can we as parents ensure that this transportation is safe, especially since there are schools that have buses that transport these kids to school, but also there are children who are mature enough. I remember I started taking myself from school to home at the end of the term from senior one. And there are students like that who are not picked by their parents. So what can the parent do in that situation, especially when they are not the ones transporting the children home?
Like I told you, there must be a deliberate strategy for a parent to make sure the kid arrives home safely. If you are able to pick your kids, well and good. If the school has a bus or means of transport, you must be in touch with the means of transport. If the school has no means of transport and the kids are old enough to bring themselves, you must know when did they settle from school. How long should it take them to arrive? You must be informed. You must be in touch with your kid. There is a tendency of parents relaxing, and they are shocked by appearance of the kid that they get. Or if the kid doesn't appear, then he wakes up and says, what is going on? Then he goes at school at night. From morning up to midday, you must be in touch with your kid. You must be in touch with the teachers. And that's why I said if your kid comes from Jinja and is studying from Entebbe, there are gaps, there are dropped. You have tax park in Kampala, then Jinja, then probably Luka or Iganga. You must have a trusted person. You must have a contact in terms of a driver or a conductor, and this person updates you. How far have they gone? Where are they now? Set you in touch with your kid. We have cases where we've got kidnaps on days like today. And you hear a strange call and someone says, I want 30 million. You've failed to pay school fees in time of $1 million and someone wants 30 million for your kid. Why? You're out of touch with your kid and the school. Things that we normally watch in movies are coming closer to us. You will see a kid appearing without a suitcase or books or her property or his property. You have kids who are mature, like you said, who want to meet their friends, who want to meet their lovers, because the world is changing very fast. If somebody is in senior 6, she's mature enough to have an affair. So if you don't take care, if you don't put a deliberate strategy to have this kid reach home, this kid will reach you next week. And how sure are you that she's safe or he's safe, or the property or whatever belongings this person has is in position to explain where the things are? So that's why parents must today, from morning up to evening, be informed where the kid is. If you don't pick that person, then you must talk to the kid. Get to know who is transporting this person. When did they set off? When do you expect these people to arrive? Such any difference should make you get worried.
Now, when it comes, thank you so much for that. When it comes to the issue of safety that you've also spoken about, that's safety at home. So they have arrived safely from school, they are safe in your hands, and are safe. We have to ensure that they are safe at home. Now, there are some challenges that we have when it comes to our children's safety at home. One of them being domestic violence, another one being things like child labor. So one of the things I found that you've also mentioned is the fact that we must be at agreeing terms as parents. We must be having an environment that is amicable for our children to live in. So the question is, how can we do that? How can we be at a place where the environment is suitable for this child to thrive, so that we don't have things like gender violence, where we don't have things like domestic violence in our homes?
Thank you, the moderator, for that question. Like I told you at the beginning of my presentation, that kids look at the parents as their role models. If you ask any kid, they think their father is the strongest person, the most reliable person they have. So we must put strategies to have these kids enjoy the holidays. I remember I was talking to my wife when coming, that kids these days are busy at school. From morning in the winter up to late in the night after prep. Our kids need to rest. Our kids need to pray. Our kids need to exercise. Our kids need to eat well. Now, that can't come by mistake or by chance. You must plan for it. You have 3 weeks with these kids and you want them to look better than they came in terms of discipline, morals, and how they look on their body. So as a family, you must prepare. You must feed them well. For those who have been in boarding section, you know what it means when it comes to eating at school. These guys eat portion beans, eat hot things, they are rushing, and this affects their immunity. So you want these kids to have a balanced diet, to have good meal. By the time they go back, they look different. That can only happen when the family is in peace. The family is in one position. You have a strategy to have your kids become better than you, or you, if you're better in the society. So you must plan for it. 2, I come from the world or school of thought where kids should be taught to hustle, to work, to see life as a reality. So if it is possible that you have a village like me, the kids should be allowed to go to the village. For 3 weeks, look at cows, to see banana, to see how food comes into the fridge, to see the real life. Because back at school, they are in a different world. So they need to get in touch with reality. They need to look at the grandparents. They need to see cousins and relatives. They need to see life in the real situation than sitting in sofa sets and watch cartoons from morning to evening. And you have a girl of 13 years or 15 who cannot peel matoke. You have a boy who calls a cow a big dog. This creates a funny world in the future. And we've seen this. You've seen our relatives come from Kampala and they look at cows and dogs and like the difference is this is a big dog, this is a small dog. Because in Kampala they have puppies. So as a family you must accept, you must agree, because some parents, some women want their kids near them. They say this is a boarding person, she has come, I want to be with my kid. But how about in future? How about your mother in the village who cannot access you because you're working in Kampala, cannot access the grandkid? That is one. Two, church, mosques, and all other places that we go to. If you go to our prisons, by statistics, the suspects and the people that we have, the research shows that they rarely visit their places of worship. When you go to church, when you go to the mosque, the values that we get, the teachings that we get, touch the body and the soul. So can we have our kids for these 3 weeks be introduced to our churches? Go with them on Sundays. Go with them on Friday for those that do mosque, or Saturday, depending on your faith. So that we can have spiritual discipline, spiritual food for our kids, which lasts longer than these other things that we see, outings, eatings out, and partying. The spiritual food takes this kid for a while. On the other side is what is affecting the world now. We have immorality of the highest order, we have homosexuals, we have drug abuse. If as parents we don't avail ourselves in the lives of our kids, you will wake up one day when your boy who is 18 is introducing you another boy as a boyfriend, which is traumatizing, which is weird. So we must use this time, one, to listen to them. This helps you to get to know what is happening at school. How does the school work? What kind of friends do they have? What kind of literature do they get? Check in their suitcases. Do they have magazines showing all those bad things that we see? Do they have friends who are weird in terms of manners? And we must talk to them, especially if somebody is able to understand. You have a kid of 13 up to 18. Sit down with your boy, sit down with your girl, and explain to these people the importance of marriage, the importance of families, the importance of having kids, the importance of being a man if you're a boy, the importance of being a woman if you're a girl. If we don't do it, like I always say, somebody out there will tell them a different story on your behalf. Somebody will say being a girl and you have a girl is okay, being a man and you're married to a man is normal. Because they didn't hear the other version, we must be available. The biggest gift we can give our kids is being available in their lives. With or without enough resources, with or without enough food at home, with or without enough money, are you available? Do you give them time? We've been running with work, which is not going to end. We've been moving with this world, but now you have 3 weeks with your kids. Are you able to sit down with them, to spend valuable time, to listen to them, to explain to them and they understand you? So that by the time they go back to school, they have values, they have morals, they have learned 1 or 2 things from this holiday.
Afande Lule, Patrick, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, actually what I could add as in roles, because as we earlier on discussed behavioral change. So when this kid comes back at home, remember when he's still at school, he's putting on a uniform, try to check on what they dress. Some of these kids' parents leave them to dress into sagging pants. Others, they are dressing in very tight pants. You find the kid moving anyhow. So parents also check on that. The other thing is, you should also make sure that these kids, before you leave home, check on their health. That's one of your role. There is a parent one time who was just called. He had just reached workplace. He said the kid was dead in bed. What the hell? How do you believe? How do you move or walk out of home before checking actually on the kid whether he's okay or not? That goes also beyond some parents. You know, there are some families which interact. A parent just feels that the kid has gone the other side of the friendly family. He just said, did Nani come back? Okay, he stayed in the other family's home. No, you have to know if he's to sleep there. No, it should be a program, not just to think, okay, if he has failed to come back, it is okay. It cannot be okay. That's what we are trying to tell the parents. Let us take on our roles as parents. Let us not leave our roles to any other person to do that. Others, there are homes where now you have been having a maid, maybe he's doing housework, you have been living maybe 5,000 shillings, the maid just prepares her tea and a little bread. So now you have to know what are the kids going to eat. Prepare that, put their food. Don't just walk away the way you have been walking away normally. So it is not normal when the kids return home. Actually, even you as a parent, you have to change your behavior the way it has been before when they are at school, still at school.
Now, one of the things that the biggest risk factors when it comes to our children while they're at home are security risks, things like kidnap, like you mentioned, accidents. We are seeing, unfortunately, some children as they play get hit by borders or by cars and so many other issues. So how can we beef up our security at home this holiday?
If you realize at home we have good things that may turn out to be bad things. There are homes with swimming pools, you have electricity, you have gates. These days we have incidents where gates fall on kids. Somebody wants to pull a gate, these moving gates, and the gate kills a young kid. You have reckless and careless house helpers who actually turn out to be kidnappers. So when kids return home, like Lule told you, it's not business as usual. You must talk to the kids. Where is the main switch? What is the role of this wire? When should we put on the fridge? Where do you go? How do you swim? Under whose watch? Because it is traumatizing to be called at work and your own race kid is floating on top of water. If you have things that I have mentioned and you have young kids at home, kids are kids, you must put measures to save your areas, to make sure this kid is safe. That is one. Two, you must have cameras. Sometimes we talk about these things and they think they are expensive, they are for rich people. But as we talk now, they are no longer luxury things. They are very, very essential. Are you able to monitor? There are cameras that you can monitor using your phone at work. Are you able to monitor what is happening? If you are unable to do that, then you must put programs to keep your kids busy. There are training places. There are academies that work on football. There are programs in the Uganda Kingdom, like Sakate. There are churches that have programs for teenagers. There are churches that we know that have programs for kids that are in holidays. Have your kid safe. Have your kid busy. Have your kid active. And the intention should be, one, the kid is safe. Two, there is added value. This kid has something, by the time he goes back to school, he has learned one or two things. Like Lule said, you must change as a parent. If you've been coming at 10 or midday, then you must come back early. Look at this. If you have been drinking at home, or you come back when you're staggering, then definitely you must change. Because you're telling a kid to be a good person. Are you one? Are you good? Are you an example of this kid? They have holiday homework. I have seen a huge work given to my kids. You must work with these kids. Some of the questions require your intervention, your knowledge. Because they're talking about current issues. They're talking about the sub-county where they stay. This kid comes from Masaka. They're asking about Wakiso. There's a new municipality, there's a new town council. How will this kid answer that question without your presence? You must allow them to ask. One problem that we have in this country is that we are too busy, especially men. We are rough, we are not available, and when we are available, we don't listen to kids. Kids see a lot of things at home, with maids, with workers, with your relatives that are here, and our kids get abused, but they are unable to express themselves because they fear us. So we must open up, we must listen to kids, guide them, and get to know their feelings. And this can be done by somebody who is intentional, somebody who has a program. I normally draw up a program for kids from morning to evening. They may not be perfect, but at least they know there's time for TV, there's time for resting, there's time for food, and there's time for doing something. If you have flowers, can they water the flowers? Can they move around and clean the compound? To have a girl or two girls of 13 or 15 and your maid is still washing for them plates, carrying food at the table, bathing the small kids, is destroying your kids. You will have a maid doing the work of your daughter when she gets married. So there must be a deliberate effort to have these kids get involved. They must, if you have business, have the kids move with you. Let them know how you get school fees. What do you go through in getting money? If what you're doing is legitimate. If you're a thug, then definitely don't take our kid to where you're getting money from. If you're a robber, don't involve them. But if you're doing a legitimate work, if you're a businessman in Chikubo, in Arcade, please move with these kids. Let them see how you hustle, what it takes to put food on the plate, so that they can become relevant and important people in the future.
Yes, as Afande was trying to put it up, nurturing actually these learners is a task, and this is a very big task that you as a parent, you are supposed to know how am I disciplining these kids. There are some parents whom you will find they are backing at these learners, they are backing at them, they think that using corporal punishment is the way forward. At one time, there are some parents whom even you find at home, the parent is asking, don't you know that I'm the father of this home? Then that means you're not in the charge. How do you come and, because you must really, your actions must show that you are a parent and you are in charge of that home. Let us just avoid the using of this corporal punishment in thinking that this is a way of disciplining our kids.
And as we come to the conclusion of today's edition of Issues at Hand, what would you like parents out of this conversation? I know we've learned many things, but sometimes it's important to go away with at least one thing that we can work on as we look forward to having our children back at home. What piece of advice do you want us as parents to remember?
As parents watching us out there, I want you to know that God created you to put things right in the world. And one important thing that you can give to your kid is love. Love in words, love in action, love in what you do at home and in your neighborhood. Whenever kids are loved, whenever kids see and experience love at home, they will always give back that love. Love your wife, your woman, love your husband, love your kids, and express it and show it. Love your neighbors. Spread love at home so that we can have God-fearing and loving people in the future.
Indeed, the funny Patrick, what's your
Yeah,
final say?
to me, my final say would let us as parents try to ensure that we minimize unnecessary movement of our learners, because through this unnecessary movement there is a lot that comes about it. So let these movements be on point. If the learner is going to church, let it be direct to church, but not just to go to roll around as if he has no other tasks to do.
Indeed, thank you so much, Afande Muhwezi Donald and Afande Lule Patrick, for gracing us with your presence here on Issues at Hand and for taking us through these vital steps to ensuring that this holiday season is very fruitful. And it starts with love. Do we love our children, like has been shared with us? And are we intentional about ensuring that there is a proper holiday package which will help protect our children, which will help encourage our children, which will help inspire and teach our children? Remember, the scripture says that we should teach our children in the way that they should go, especially in the way of the Lord, so that when they mature, they will not depart from it. So let's be intentional about that. Make a plan this day, one, on how you're going to pick them, or how you're going to follow up with their transition as they're coming back from school, and also make a plan for their whole holiday season. Time for play, time for rest, time to do a little bit of work, and time to spend with you as a parent or as parents. It's very vital. Time for church especially also is very important, as we look forward to Friday next week when our children will be returning home. Thank you for joining us on Issues at Hand today. We shall return on Monday. For now, we are going to say have a lovely weekend. God bless you, and enjoy the rest of the programming here on Church of Uganda Family TV.